billboard poster, look at me, look at me, look at me. He wants that attention, and that's about it. However, his, talk about letting it go to the states decision, is, a controversial take, right? For me, I live in Oregon, so I was a little confused because I live in Oregon. We have some of the best women's rights, and body rights, and choice rights. But I seen people protesting, and I'm like, wait, what are we protesting though? Because we already have these rights in the states. We don't have to change that. That wasn't for us. Um, but I get it. You're protesting for the people of like Texas or some of those Bible Belt states, and that makes sense. But we also live, we should be able to freely move. Um, I think that was another important part of our Constitution was the ability to freely move for that reason. If you don't like your state and what they're particularly doing, you can freely move. You can freely move and go establish somewhere else. I know it's not the best option. I know it's not the greatest, but that's possible. And then on top of that, you have the right to petition your government. So if you don't like it, you still have the right to petition your government, gather up votes, get it on a public vote, and vote it in. We did that with cannabis. We petitioned our government. I took lots of efforts to do so. I worked on 4 different efforts before the effort was successful. Um, I gotta say too, we had efforts that had way more support from the cannabis side of things, and then efforts that had less support from the community. And the one that had less support from the community got, we were able to get way more signatures and vote. Like, it's just whack. It's like, did you guys forget to vote? Like, when we did that thing and you guys were all supporting of it, did y'all get way too high and actually forget to show up at the polls? Because we lost by like 4 to 6%, right? But we won by 6% on like a 502, I think. It was like 6%, I think. So what's up with that? Why is that happening like that? But we have that ability. We can redress our government. We can do that. And so when it boils down to it, we should have more of a states' rights. And I think cannabis was the kicker for that. Because cannabis was a states' rights issue. And eventually the federal government had to release a memo. It was an Eric Holder memo that said, hey, it's a states' rights issue, and if a state chooses to do this program, it does it. Now we're facing a new one, and this is a call to action. In December, the Drug Enforcement Agency is taking on testimony from the people, the public, experts. So if you are a activist, if you have ever been healed, or if you have ever been saved by it, I know lots of people have. Actually, that reminds me, I have one other person I need to reach out. She needs to know about this because she's been on a lot of stations, a lot of news, and I'm pretty sure if she gets back out there, they might pick her up so that we can get this conversation going. Because what this is doing is the DEA is opening this up. This is allowing for those expert testimonies, and public testimonies, to be put on the public record. That's never been done. When this was banned, it was banned by the government, by the federal government. It wasn't banned by the people coming together, representatives saying, "Hey, we got these studies and they're showing this." No, it just was banned. So to have on the public record, all the stories of how many people it's helped, how many people it's helped. I don't want to say the wrong word, so we're just going to avoid that. But because there's particular words that you say, and if you say the C word, you might get in a lot of trouble. So we're not going to go that route. We're not going to get kicked off. This is all for informational purposes only, and every single one of those persons had their own perspective of their idea of what helped them, and they perceived that to have helped them, and therefore I'm just sharing their stories as well as my own stories. And so, you know, make sure to get out there December 2nd. Make sure to follow